Good evening, everyone. Welcome to all of you. We are so excited to have everyone this evening. I know everybody is kind of slowly trickling into the Zoom, or if you're anything like me and you get the luck of your Zoom deciding to update as soon as you log on, maybe that's happening too. So while everyone is trickling in, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Allison Verheyen. I'm one of the student advocates here at UOnline, and I have the extreme pleasure of working with students in our Master's in Public Administration program. So I am so thrilled to have everyone join us this evening to learn a little bit more about our MPA program. So we have two incredible alumna with us tonight. We will get to them in just a moment, but while everybody is kind of slowly trickling in, a few housekeeping notes. We estimate that this is going to take around 45 minutes, but we want to make sure that everyone has the ability to get their questions answered. Tonight is all about you. So for our prospective students, we want to make sure that you are getting all of the information that you're hoping to learn about. So throughout this presentation, we're going to be just engaging in dialogue. Feel free to do the same. We have a chat feature at the bottom. We would love for you to type in. I'll be answering them. I'll be turning them over to our panelists to answer those questions as well. So don't be shy and feel free to use that chat. If you have to dip out a little bit early, I totally get it. It's dinner time. So if you need to scoot just a little bit early, we're recording this session and it will be available after the fact. So keep a lookout on YouTube for that, and it'll also be sent to you. If you are a lot like me and maybe think of questions after the fact, because that is what I'm known to do, is overnight I kind of think of things. Don't hesitate to reach back out. We have an incredible team of enrollment advisors who would love to answer those questions that you have. So you are always welcome to reach out to our UOnline staff, and we can take care of those questions if you think of some maybe overnight and you want to get those answered tomorrow. You have our kind of phone number there at the very bottom. We also have this really great live chat feature. So if maybe you're at work and wanting to multitask, you can always chat in with us during the workday as well. Alrighty, those are all my housekeeping notes. So now for the good part, let me introduce our incredible panelists, and I will actually let them do the introduction. We have Dr. Stephanie Thomas. I'll start off with you, Stephanie, if you wouldn't mind giving an introduction, and then we'll turn it over to Roxana.
Not at all. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Dr. Stephanie Thomas. As you can see on the screen, I'm the Deputy City Clerk for the City of North Miami. I have been with the city about 21 years, going on 22 years in January. So I'm excited about that. And I have so much to share with you this evening, and I look forward to your questions.
Well, hi guys, good evening. My name is Roxana Lemus. I'm the Victim Services Program Specialist for the Office of the Attorney General. I've been in advocacy for about 8 years, having a background in law enforcement, nonprofit. But I'm super happy to be here because this opportunity of being where you were, looking at this webinar, trying to learn and seeing what would be the best fit for me, which I already know it's not to be biased or anything, but I'm excited to share what as much as I can.
Ladies. Well, and Roxana, that was an awesome segue into one of the first questions that I want to pose to y'all. As you kind of think through, what did attract you to this program at the University of Miami? What set our MPA program apart from maybe some of the other schools that you were considering?
So for me, what set it apart from compared to the other schools that had the same program was the flexibility. I especially at the time I was working within law enforcement, and it was the program itself was all online. It was when I saw that it was one class every 7 weeks, I was like, that's exactly what I need at this time. And what I really did like about it, especially when I started asking questions with the school, is how supportive they were from the get-go. And I knew that that's what I was going to need moving forward. But the flexibility is what sold me completely.
And for me, Allison, I can just emulate what Roxana said. It was the flexibility. It was the fact that it was local, right here in Miami. And of course, who wouldn't want to be a student at UM, right? That was my dream school, and I took the opportunity to, register, and I was accepted. So I did enroll, and I, to this day, am so excited that I accepted the offer. So flexibility, the engagement with the professors. Um, I mean, everything about UM is just speaks for itself. So I'm sure the
Yes.
students know that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And that is my favorite part too, quite honestly, of the program is you can have a very busy life. You can be busy professionally, personally, family. And this really does fit in very seamlessly, taking those one class at a time method. They're 7 weeks long. I love that you're able to do them kind of in an asynchronous way. So you nailed it, ladies. And actually, that's a great way to kind of lead into the next one. I know everybody probably on this call is very busy. They've got a job, they've got family commitments. There's always a lot going on. How did you know that when you enrolled, it was the right time? Because I think a lot of people maybe have those concerns of is this the right time for me? So how did you decide that this was the right time for you to pursue your graduate degree? And what did it do for your career trajectory?
So at the time, I did not know it was the right time. I was actually looking to go into the doctorate program with the university. And when I saw the opportunity to possibly get my MPA from University of Miami, I said, why not? Although I had another master's degree, my late husband inspired me and said, listen, you need to, go with UM because they're such a prestigious school and you can make so many connections after you graduate. So he definitely inspired me to make that decision. And like I said, at the time he was sick, and I was able to, do my classes online and take care of my family at the same time and work full time. So it was very convenient. So my laptop was my best friend the entire 2 years.
Yes. Yes. It's like bringing flashbacks. And the same for me. It was just one of those things where it's hard. I always say that the fact that when you explore, you're questioning about the school, whether or not should I apply, I always say I've learned that is when you realize, okay, I'm ready to pursue this, right? Without us even realizing it, despite having maybe the fear of, is it going to be too much? Because for me, I had my job, right, of the on call. So I would go out in crazy hours of the night and still being able to have my self care and be with my family and do what I have to do. But it's very same with Stephanie's. UM was my dream school, right? This was the school. And, but, and I didn't realize at the time that the leap that I might have had, maybe a little bit of fear, like, should I do it? Should I not? But the leap, it was the best thing that could have happened because I do believe that this, for me personally, this university really challenged me in a lot of good ways, personally and professionally, that, if it wasn't for, for my family, and for this university, it's a very different Roxana when I stepped out of UM compared to when I stepped in.
Yes.
So
And definitely,
special.
having this degree from UM helps catapult your career, right? As far as your salary, right? People see you in a different perspective. So definitely plus for me in that perspective.
Oh yeah. I can't tell you the amount of times where, because I at the time when I was taking the online, I was in Pasco County, so 5 hours away from Miami. But when I'd be applying to different jobs, the first thing they would notice is the University of Miami, and they'll say, "Oh, you got your master's University of Miami," and I would, my back would argue, "Yes, yes, I did." So it's a prestigious school, but it's amazing. It truly is.
And I think one of the things that brings a lot of weight to the program is the faculty. I know we
Oh,
were talking about it kind of before we went live. I'm thinking about Dr. Beck, thinking about Dr. Conley, just they bring a lot to the program. So they do have a lot of real world experience. They give great advice. They give great practical advice. I think they build a lot, not only in the classroom, but then also kind of thinking about ways to get involved outside of the classroom, how to sort of build that career for sure. Within their office hours and then just kind of within the instruction. So think about that. Can you describe how this impacts the curriculum, why you feel like the faculty really make it an important component of the program, and if you have any, I don't know, great stories or just little anecdotes about your interactions with faculty? I know we were talking about this a little bit ahead of time, but just kind of speaking on the faculty element of the program.
Oh, and I know Stephanie will agree with me, and you will hear this a lot, right? But and it's the faculty, they are really the heart of the university. They really are, um, because they have such a wealth of knowledge, and from experiences, from all the research they've done, but they don't just see you like as a number, like, okay, we're just grading something, calling it a day, like they approach you like actual human beings, and they understand that you have a lot on your plate. You have a family, you have your full-time job, and they're willing to work with you. I don't think there was ever a moment when their door was not open despite being online. It's crazy to me because it was online, but it didn't feel like it was online. It felt like I was in actual classroom, and you don't understand the disappointment I felt when I would walk outside my door and I go, oh, I'm not in Miami, I'm in Pasco, even though I love Pasco. but but to me, you have Dr. West, who was such a great professor, who I think really pioneered the program itself. And to me, like, I love all my professors the same because they're all amazing. But to me, and I will always say this, Dr. Beck she is a very special professor to me personally, because I was going through a really hard time professionally and personally, and she instantly, I don't, she really kind of like takes you, these professor, they take you under your wing, right? And they help guide you and they challenge you. And because of her guidance and because of her support, throughout the program, throughout the class, and even afterwards, because she became my mentor, I was able to be the commencement speaker for last May. I'm at the Office of the Attorney General because she challenged me. She told me I could do it. And it wasn't just okay, you're in the class, okay, bye. It wasn't like that. It was always challenging to be the best, because these professors want you to be the best. They know that if you're in this university, or just a person in general, you hold value, and they're constantly reminding you of your value. And I think that is, one of the most beautiful things, I think, any human being, but coming from a professor, I think it's just beautiful. And I don't mean to be a little emotional, but it's special.
No, it is special, very special. And, just to emulate what Roxana said, the professors do empathize with students. They understand life, right? Life happens. There were times that I had to travel. I was a caretaker for my husband. I had children to raise. I had a full-time job, and they were able to help me through the process and making sure that I had all my assignments in on time, gave me, provided resources, not only to me, but other students that could help us through, our life process and with our engagement in class, and making sure that all of our assignments are, turned in on time. And like Roxana was saying, they do take a specific interest in their students. For instance, Dr. West, may he rest in peace, he sought me out to become one of the students under the Pi Alpha Alpha Honor Society. And I went for it. And I'm one of the alums now in that program. So I really appreciate the fact that he saw that in me to suggest that. So they do take pride in their students, our faculties. And like Roxana said, they are the backbone of the university.
Yeah.
So I'm appreciative.
Yeah.
That, and it's funny, I was on the phone with a current MPA student last week. She shared a similar story, but a different faculty member. She said that Dr. Conley, she had 2 semesters ago, but she emailed the student and said, "Hey, I thought of you. I just heard about this opportunity. You're the perfect fit for it. You need to apply." And she wasn't even a current student. I just thought that that speaks
Yeah.
volumes, right, of our faculty, the relationships that they build, and they're always thinking for their students. So I love that. Thank y'all for those answers. Being very practical for a second, a lot of people are enrolling into this program to progress their career. But as we've kind of talked about, they also very likely already have a job. Maybe it's not the dream job, but they're probably working. Let's talk about flexibility. And I know, Stephanie, you already said your laptop was your best friend, which is like hitting the nail on the head for sure. But thinking about how important flexibility is to students, that's why a lot of people are selecting the online degree. How did you help build habits and practices that kept you on track and accountable to your assignments? Because the fact of the matter is, you're not reporting to a classroom weekly, right? It does take a little bit of internal motivation. So, what are some maybe tips and tricks that you guys kind of came up with while you were in the program to hold yourself accountable and to build those good habits?
So not only do you have to hold yourself accountable, but you have to find tools that will best fit your needs and the time that you need it, right? So the different practices that I put in place that I found was easy for me. Once the the classes opened up, well, not opened up, but a week before they provide you the curriculum, and I kind of skimmed through the curriculum. I didn't put too much thought into it, just skimmed through it. And then one day I would do that, and 2 days later I would go back and kind of really thoroughly analyze what's needed and what is expected of me for the next week. So you always have that opportunity the week before what your assignments will be. And typically it's the same, the same routine. Your discussion questions are due a certain day and then responses due another day. So the faculties and professors try to keep it, consistent so that you're not off guard. Unless, there's something change in the curriculum, they will definitely let you know. But that's how I was able to keep on track and making sure that I'm not behind. And even if I knew I was going to be behind in my work, I knew that I had enough time between the deadline and when I needed to kind of catch up with my assignments. And of course, the library is a wonderful resource. Everything is online. You have accessibility through the online library system. IT department is always there, to answer any questions you may have, any technical difficulties you may have, even over the weekend. They're accessible to the students. So the tools are there. Is just applying yourself and making sure that you know where to find it and how to obtain and access it. That's what's helped me. And of course, my laptop, 24/7. My laptop.
Kind of like to the hip, like Velcro. No. Yeah, it's the same for me. I think you just go over the syllabus and kind of see your dates and making sure that, okay, again, like I said, the consistency, that's the one thing that the professors do provide. For me, on top of that, I think what helped me was I had like one or two individuals that I became close to in class, because one of the things that the professors do have is like discussion boards. And sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, it's a discussion board, really have to interact. But it's needed. And we think, because as human beings, we all need connection, right? But little do we know that those connections become friendships, like, become so. I can tell you from just those little interactions, or even during office hours, you connect with another student, and now you're holding like Zoom meetings with each other and holding each other accountable, because it's 2 years long and time goes by quick. But it was nice to kind of lean on someone that was in the program that understood. So that's what held me accountable a lot of the times.
And you also do learn from other students and their
Oh, yeah.
various backgrounds, because we come from different various backgrounds. So that really does help change our perspective on our responses when we do our discussion questions and engage and interact with our student. So
Yeah, especially especially when they came from, like, they're not just from Florida, you have people from everywhere, so that's really cool to see. Oh wow, that's how your state is. That's just how I am over here. So it's good. And not all, and again, just kind of add the professors, they have their office hours are like goal. Like if I needed to meet sometimes with my professor, depending on the class, like every week, and they will give it to me. They will block it off and help me, it was another way of holding me accountable. Because like Stephanie said, you know what you need. So, and your needs change, and that's okay. But they're there.
Okay, so I want to follow up on this thought about community, but first, quick reminder, I've got about 3 more questions for you ladies. If any of our participants have questions, we have this chat feature, it might say Q&A on your Zoom. Feel free to chat in any questions you have, because again, this is for you guys. I mean, we love hanging out for sure, but want to make sure we're getting all those questions answered that you have as well. So if you're of things, or if we mention something that you want to address a little bit more in depth, feel free to chat in that Q&A section, or it might say chat for you, and we would love to get those answered. But back to community. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about this, because you talked about kind of getting to know students from all over. Fun fact, we have students internationally in our MPA program. I'm thinking of 2 different countries, at least that I'm working with right now. So it's amazing how everyone is able to come together. But my question for y'all is, how does it happen? How does that facilitate? How do you start to build those relationships? If you can kind of maybe give our prospective students kind of a glimpse into, does it just kind of happen organically? Are there group me's that come about? How do these relationships start to form?
So for me, I believe it happened organically, because because the professors, again, they would have their discussions, they would have our group, but there's always 1 or 2 that, again, it just happened. It just, I can't explain it. It just happens so naturally, nothing's forced. But at the end of the day, everyone in there is rooting for each other, and you feel it. Everyone wants everyone to succeed in there. So, we gotta, if I had to be partnered with somebody, we would exchange phone numbers, depending on, like, we had to write a paper together or whatever the case might be. And then little did you know, you just made a connection, you know. And it's great because, again, everyone has different backgrounds, everyone has families, everyone has things that they're going through. So for me, it was just organically, but it was good.
I would have to echo Roxana. It did happen to me organically, but a lot of times it's within the group that we work with that you also build the relationship as well. And as you're going through these sessions, you build more with other students, because the classes do grow, and we have different students coming in all the time. So organically, it does happen that way, and it's been a wonderful experience. After 5 years of graduating from I'm still in touch with the students that were in my class. And from time to time, I just, reach out to them, or they reach out to me if they have questions. We help each other out still. Yeah.
For sure. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Stephanie, because the way the MPA program is organized, I think is unique, and I love it. So everybody who is enrolled in this Master in Public Administration program, you're all taking these classes together. So, and almost about to graduate student could be in the same class as a student who just started the program. And I think there's so much beauty in that, because everybody brings so many different elements into this. And so the discussions that I've had, I love to peek in on them, because I feel like they're just so rich, right? Like I love the different perspectives that come in, what everybody's bringing to the table. And then you add the faculty as well. I think it's neat. I also have found, because I'm starting to get like LinkedIn requests and stuff, I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, let's connect. So I think it's neat how everybody does choose to connect in various ways. But I have also heard that it typically is just very organic, which is, I think, a beautiful thing with the program. All right, let's think about like fond memories. when you think back at your time in the program, what are some things that stood out to you in interaction with a faculty member, a particular class, just a funny story? What really kind of stands out when you reflect on your time?
Hmm. So
You
I have,
know, my
no,
bad.
go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Roxanne.
no, go, Stephanie. No, you go.
Go ahead, Roxanne. I'm still
No,
thinking.
no, you can go. You go.
I'm still thinking through what I'm gonna say. I'm trying to
Oh,
make it funny. I don't know if I can.
you know, it's crazy. Like I said, the 2 years go by so quick. And for me, what I have found, I mean, there's a lot of things, right? Because bonds you make with your classmates, you create little inside jokes, and you remember, like, but it's even like graduation, how I was so nervous and my hair started frizzing up, and my classmate was like, "Roxana, your hair." I go, "I know, I'm sweating. I'm just nervous." And but to me, again, I think the fondest one of the fun I mean, there's so many fond memories, but from the beginning, from the admissions with Miss Paula Nixon, I'll never forget her, because as soon as I remember when I submitted my essay and she bounced it back and she goes, "This is great, but let's add this as well. This is missing." And I've never in my life have had any university or anyone do that. And so from that moment, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be okay. From stepping into that classroom, well, stepping in the best way with Dr. West, and him having this introduction of wanting everyone to connect and getting to know everyone as you go. And again, just, that sense of community, I didn't realize that provided something to me that, I don't mean to get emotional. They provided something very special, something that I didn't realize I needed. And I do feel that, and again, like, even again, I could talk about Dr. Beck all day, because she's been phenomenal and really supporting me and pushing me. And even like, if I see an opportunity, I'm like, "Hey, this is a good idea." She goes, "Roxana, of course, just go for it." And things like that. It's just one of those things where I think that's why is so special, because you ask anyone that comes from UM and they can tell you all the stories they have and how it's impacted them. But, again, I think that, I think I'm just going in circles. I didn't think I'd give a exact story. Except the frizzy hair. That was like the one thing. But the fact that in graduation, I had a professor show up and went to graduation and saw me graduate. And, to me was, I was that it was very special.
Nice.
So,
So for me, I don't know if I have anything funny or anything to share like that, but it was just so nice to know that a lot of the students that were in my class, they were actually locals, and to see them succeed after the program and become, the professionals that they are today. And it also inspired me and another classmate to run for office. So just really nice experiences, just from, the conversations, the interactions with the professors, the students, the staff of really inspired me to do what I am doing today, and then some. So I really appreciate that,
yeah,
experience.
yeah. And I got to meet Stephanie. So, she's amazing. And Allison, and
Thank
so
you.
forth.
Well, the other thing too, right after I graduated, became an alum, I have been doing this info session for 5 years now. So it's nice to know that I can bring something of value to the university and to incoming students. So I really do appreciate, staff looking at me in that sense, and then I can provide my insight and my experiences. So it's been an honor.
Was.
I love it. I love that. Okay, ladies, I've got one more question. So, one last reminder for all of our participants, if you do have questions, chat them in. I can say them. We'll get them answered, whether it's chatting you back or addressing it to the panelists. But we are kind of getting ready to wrap up with that. So kind of on that note, thinking about leaders of an organization, you got to be prepared to solve complex challenges, especially with some critical thinking. I know, especially with the roles that both of you have. So how do you feel like the online MPA program helps students prepare for leadership roles in public service, as well as in the nonprofit role? Because I know we see people go in a lot of different directions. So what are your thoughts on how does this program help prepare the students for these leadership roles?
Well, I think the subject matters that the university provides in this program is very substantial. It's very practical. And for me, it's been beneficial, although I've been in the public sector for 21 years, but I only had the experience of a public servant, right? And not really the background of book knowledge. So the book knowledge really brought everything into perspective for me. And one of the classes that I really, really enjoy is the ethical, right, uh, subject that we have to deal with not only in the public sector, but the private sector, the nonprofit sector. So it kind of gives you a different perspective of how to be more um, inclusive and also engaging and also careful in how we speak to others and how we deal with everyday uh, I would say, situations or different scenarios in our departments, right? So it has definitely helped me in that perspective and how to deal with different cultures as well as far as diversity. So it's been very, I would say, very richful, I would say, to help me and as becoming a leader and helping others alongside of me become leaders as well. So it's definitely a eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah, no, Stephanie, that was so beautifully said. It was so, but it's so true. It's so true. The courses there, it's so well-rounded. It's so well-rounded. They're teaching how the nonprofit sector, the private sector, the public, and what I loved about it was they showed how the different sectors, the relationship with one another. And I think that was the most phenomenal thing in the world, because you'll have classmates that work in so many different sectors. So when you guys have these discussions together, it's very nice to see how it just overlaps. Everything just overlaps from one another. And because I think that for me, I think that it allowed me to be it allowed me to be a better leader, employee, just kind of be a lot more patient, because you understand just a bit more from what you're reading from your textbooks, from the experiences from your different professors. But what I loved about UM's curriculum is that, well, from this program, is that it is very spot on to what the reality is. And like from HR, from ethics, and they kind of ingrain it on your forefront of your brains in every single class. To even, I went to a training and they said, oh, Maslow's law of, of the hierarchy of needs. Like, oh, learned that in school. And it all starts to connect with one another, despite no matter where you're at. But like I said, I think it just made me a lot more patient and allowed me to, like Stephanie said, that self-awareness of, okay, making sure that you're being very mindful of, how you're approaching situations, people, because this is public administration, right? You're pursuing this because you are a leader, but you want to have more tools under your toolbox, right? And they give you the hard hat, I think, when you graduate, for that, to have that self-awareness. and and it's just phenomenal. Like I said, it's great. I mean, I can go on and on how great it is, but it's just good diversity.
I love that. Ladies, Thank you. My cheeks hurt from smiling so much. Like y'all have just brought so much to this. Every time I love hearing about your experience. And I really do. I think it brings to life. I mean, you can read the websites, you can get the emails from our incredible enrollment staff, but it's always amazing to hear from people who have done it. And so thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for your time tonight. It's been awesome. A few sort of last minute notes for folks to sort of be mindful of, because we are approaching a very important deadline here. This upcoming Monday, November 6th. Also crazy that it's November 1st right now, but Monday, November 6th, we have the early admission deadline. And so with that comes some great opportunity. You get a deposit fee waiver code. We want you to have that application in early, and then also your supporting documents that would come along with your application. A quick rundown of those. Not only would it be your application to meet that early admission deadline, but then we would also want to receive your personal statement, a resume. We're going to have 2 letters of recommendation and an unofficial transcript. It doesn't have to be an unofficial transcript works to meet that deadline. So get all of that in. If you apply tonight, you can actually scan a QR code at the bottom. But if you get your application in tonight, you'll have one of our enrollment advisors reach out to you tomorrow, and they can kind of walk you through all those steps. So if you're missing out on any documents, they can sort of cover that with you. Kind of like Roxana said, they might even encourage you to tweak that personal statement a little bit to make it the best that it can be. So you definitely want to take advantage of that early admission deadline so that you can also take advantage of that $300. I mean, that's like getting $300, right? That's good stuff. If you do have some additional questions that maybe weren't answered this evening, or like I said, if you're like me and you start thinking about it after we close out this Zoom, have no fear. We'll be in the office tomorrow. So you can give us a call. You can see our 800 number, or like I said, we've got that live chat feature I'm a huge fan of, and you can chat in your questions and reach one of our enrollment advisors that way. So Roxana, Stephanie, as always, thank you so much for joining us tonight. To all the participants, thank you for taking some time out of your evening to learn a little bit more about our MPA program. And I hope all of you have a really great evening. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.